कोई ऐसा याद है आपको बचपन का ऐसा इंसिडेंट जो जजमेंटल वाला एक्सपीरियंस हो, या किसी ने कोई बहुत नेस्टी कमेंट पास किया और उसको।
One of the fortunate or unfortunate events in my life, my classmates rarely interacted with me. They didn't even pass any comments, but they did not even acknowledge my existence.
यू आर द मोस्ट एलिजिबल बैचलर इन द कंट्री राइट नाउ।
I would highly debate that statement, but continue.
पूछना है कि आप कब शादी कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम हो गया, उम्र आ गई है, वो सब नहीं। पर मैं आपसे इसलिए जानना चाहती हूँ कि पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज के लिए ये गेटिंग मैरिड इज अ चैलेंज, राइट? सो व्हाट इज योर एक्सपीरियंसेस इन दिस डोमेन?
I actually dated a lot of people, right? Airports, I'm made to walk, made to get up from the wheelchair and said, भैया आप खड़े हो सकते हैं कि नहीं, आपको एक बार खड़ा करके देखना तो पड़ेगा ना।
हाय एवरीवन, मेरा नाम है अनीता और आप सबका स्वागत है मेरे इस चैनल पे, जहां मैं बात करती हूँ इंडिपेंडेंट लिविंग विद अ डिसेबिलिटी के ऊपर। जब हम इंडिपेंडेंट लिविंग की बात करते हैं और डिसेबिलिटी को एसोसिएट करने की कोशिश करते हैं तो काफी चैलेंजेस फील होते हैं कि कैसे एक पर्सन विद अ डिसेबिलिटी इंडिपेंडेंट बन सकता है। आज के पॉडकास्ट में सुमित, जो कि आज के गेस्ट हैं, उन्होंने बताया कि कैसे पढ़ाई से फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस हासिल की जा सकती है, और जब फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस हासिल होती है तो किस तरीके से हम हमारे रोजमर्रा के कार्यक्रम करने के लिए अपने आसपास एक इकोसिस्टम को डिजाइन कर सकते हैं। सो उनकी माने तो पढ़ाई की वैल्यू सबसे ज्यादा है, और सुमित अपनी पढ़ाई पूरी करने के बाद में आज की डेट में फॉर्च्यून 500 कंपनीज के अंदर डीईआई, डाइवर्सिटी इक्विटी एंड इंक्लूजन के कंसल्टेंट हैं। इस वीडियो में सुमित ने बताया किस तरीके से उन्होंने अपने बचपन को हैंडल किया, क्योंकि उनके दोस्त नहीं बन रहे थे, और बड़े हुए तो क्या उन्होंने तरीके अपनाए कि अपने अकेलेपन को अपनी स्ट्रेंथ बनाई, और आज जिस मुकाम पे वो पहुंचे हुए हैं वो कैसे पहुंचे हैं। ये वीडियो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, डेटा ड्रिवन है, और मैं खुश हूँ क्योंकि सुमित जैसे इंसान जो कि इतने सक्सेसफुल है, उन्होंने हमारे पॉडकास्ट पे आके अपनी लाइफ जर्नी के बारे में बताया है। मुझे बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ रही है इन सब वीडियोस को बनाने के लिए और आप सबके लिए कंटेंट लेके आने के लिए। तो सो प्लीज प्लीज चैनल को सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर लीजिए, और जब आप ऐसा करते हैं तो मुझे बहुत मोटिवेशन मिलती है ऐसे और वीडियोस बनाने के लिए। और अब चलते हैं सुमित को वेलकम नहीं सकते। सो थैंक यू फॉर एक्सेप्टिंग
My
माय
pleasure.
रिक्वेस्ट। थैंक यू। सो यू लिव इन कैलकाटा,
Yeah.
सो वहाँ पे अभी कैसा मौसम है?
See, I have two ACs switched on the house because if I go outside, I'll definitely fry out. It's around 40 degrees in Calcutta right now. So,
सो ओके, सो आपको कैलकाटा में है तो मेरे लिए ना वो बंगाली रसगुल्ले, मतलब मैं कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकती, तो आपको भी पसंद है बंगाली रसगुल्ले?
yeah, I mean, if you live in a particular area, like that area has something specific that it's known for example, Rasagulla, Chom Chom, or any other sweet that you talk about, एक टाइम के बाद ना इट लूजेस इट्स चार्म क्योंकि आपकी तो घर के बगल में है। सो
अच्छा।
दैट अट्रैक्शन गोज अवे। सो
हाँ।
पहले पहले मेरा था बचपन में, बट नाउ आई एम नॉट, you know, I
नॉट।
don't really see it as a speciality or something because I have very close access to Rasagulla, sweets, chom chom, all of this. So,
हम लोग यहाँ पे क्रेव करते हैं उस चमचम के या वो गुड़ वाले रसगुल्ले के।
yes. For example, Bombay is very famous for Bombay pav bhaji, but for for them, it's become a local, you know.
ट्रू, दैट्स ट्रू, आई नो। हम बाहर जाते हैं तभी उसी चीज की वैल्यू करते हैं, आई थिंक सबसे ज्यादा।
For example, Bangalore में भी कुछ वैसा होगा where you know.
मेरे ओपिनियन में बैंगलोर में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो बैंगलोर का अपना है, कुछ एक इक्के दुक्के डोसा सेंटर्स को छोड़ के। अदरवाइज वहां पे बहुत कॉस्मो टाइप का कल्चर है, सब कुछ मिलता है वहां पे। सो जो
Yeah.
जो वेस्ट बंगाल का या स्पेसिफिकली कोलकाता का चाम है ना, वो अभी भी उन्होंने मेंटेन किया हुआ है, इतना बड़ा
Kolkata is
शहर।
also very famous for saris. If you visit places like Shanti Niketan,
हाँ।
it's a wonderful place, by the way. You
कितने
can get.
साल हो गए आपको कैलकाटा रहते हुए?
I am here since I was born, so 32 years now.
ओके, सो आप कलकत्ता में पैदा हुए, वहीं बड़े हुए, कौन से स्कूल में आप जाया करते थे?
I used to go in a school called St. Francis Xavier's, but I was rejected by 30 schools before that. The 31st,
डिटेल में बताओ क्यों रिजेक्ट किया, फिर उनको आपने वापस क्या पलट के जवाब दिया कि अच्छा
yeah,
तुम देखो, तुमने मुझे रिजेक्ट किया है तो मैं तुम्हें बताऊंगा, देखो कि मैं क्या पहुंच गया हूँ, कहाँ पहुंच गया हूँ।
sure. देखिए, I was born with cerebral palsy when I was 7 months old, right? And the doctor said the child won't survive for 10 days. And now I'm 32 years old, so nobody really can predict your life, not even doctors, right? But my mother knocked on the doors of 30 schools that, you know, he's having to study, and he'll study in a mainstream school because I don't consider him as a special child because I see nothing special about him. She's of the opinion the word special should be removed altogether. If you have to classify someone, classify them as persons with disabilities. That is more dignified,
हम्म।
right? And I concur with the same opinion because I don't think anybody really is special. We are all unique in our own ways. We don't have to be differently abled. Right? So,
So I think we will discuss about this differently abled, disabled, or divyang, or other terminology
sure.
others have given for persons with disabilities. So we were talking about your schooling,
Yeah.
right?
Coming back to that, when my mother knocked on the doors of 30 schools, they said put him on a special school. He will not be able to cope up with the mainstream curriculum. She quit her job as a lawyer, and she was earning a very handsome salary that time.
Mhm.
And she basically quit without a second thought, and she went and approached a lot of schools, and the 31st school I remember was kind enough to give me space because that time there was no talks about diversity, equity, inclusion. There were no such buzzwords existing in the vocabulary of the Indian continent. So when I look at that, I think even during my school days, even if I was a part of mainstream school, I was still isolated by my peers and classmates because they said you talk different, you look different, you walk different.
Mm.
So we have nothing to do with you. That time there was no Facebook, there was no LinkedIn, no MySpace, right? That time there was something called Orkut. So I made a lot of friends there. I went to the movies, I went to the mall. I basically lived my life. I didn't need school friends, right? You don't have to restrict yourself to a particular area or locality when you have the technology which enables you to bring down geographical barriers.
सो लेट मी अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग। तो आपको जब आप स्कूल जाते थे, सो आपके क्लासमेट्स ने और आपके और जो फेलो स्टूडेंट्स थे उन्होंने काफी आपको टीज किया होगा और कुछ नेस्टी कमेंट्स पास किए होंगे, और आपको लगा कि जो टेक्नोलॉजी है, ऑर्कुट आपने नाम लिया, अब तो ऑर्कुट एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है, पर ऑर्कुट पे आपके बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स बने और आपने फिर फाइनली उनके साथ आउटिंग पे जाना शुरू किया। दैट, या आई थिंक आई ऑल्सो रेजोनेट विद व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, क्योंकि हमें जब हम लोग अपने आसपास के लोगों से बातचीत करते हैं ना, जो हमारे स्कूल में या कॉलेज में या रिश्तेदार, हम एक्चुअली उनको वो हमें एक्चुअली ना बहुत जजमेंटल नजरों से देखते हैं। तो आपका क्या एक कोई ऐसा याद है आपको बचपन का ऐसा इंसिडेंट जो जजमेंटल वाला एक्सपीरियंस हो, या किसी ने कोई बहुत नेस्टी कमेंट पास किया और उसको आपने कैसे ओवरकम किया, मैं वो जानना चाहती हूँ।
One of the fortunate or unfortunate events in my life, you can say that my classmates really interacted with me. They didn't even pass any comments, but they did not even acknowledge my existence. So I was not dragged, as to say, but I was isolated.
हम्म।
ठीक है, ये अपना है, ये बैठा है, ये खा रहा है, ये अपना नोट्स ले रहा है, ये घर जा रहा है. That's about it. Everybody knew my name because I was a good student. All the teachers used to keep asking me questions, so everybody knew me. but nobody spoke to.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I have had to go through. And you know, when you are saying something negative, then also you are at least acknowledging the existence of that person.
Hmm.
But for me, I was like an invisible kid.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody looked at me. Nobody spoke to me. Nobody told me anything. Nobody even told me a good morning. So that is what I had to go through.
ओके, सो ये इसमें थोड़ा सा चेंज कभी आया? लाइक स्कूल तो पार कर लिया आपने, पढ़ लिया पूरा, कॉलेज के जब गए होंगे तो कुछ चेंज
Not,
आ?
not really. I always had that time I made by the time I was in college, I had my own group of friends from Facebook and other social media platforms. So I really didn't need college friends.
हम्म.
They didn't even try interacting, so even I did not try so much. I
ओके.
had one or two friends from college who were
हम्म.
very good at studies, and we used to discuss studies, right? um, I, I have three or four good friends in college who used to interact with me and speak to me. Other people never, involved me in the activities. For example, say college picnic, or maybe, any group plan that everybody is making. I did not be a part of that because they did not invite me. Second, I did not even make the effort to go out and try. Because by that time I had a lot of friends already,
ओके.
and two or three people who interacted with me, they were very good at studies. We used to discuss class notes and all of that, and we used to sometimes go out into restaurants and all of that. So by that time I was of the mentality, if you are going to make an effort and approach me, okay, I'm not going to make the effort to go out and talk to you.
ओके. ओके. सो अभी आप बाहर जब जाते हैं तो, क्योंकि अब नाउ यू आर अ वेरी पॉपुलर पर्सन, तो अभी लोग बोलते हैं कि हम तेरे साथ चलेंगे सुमित.
Definitely. Now I have to reject a lot of people. I have to say that, I don't have that time right now to be able to, go out.
हाँ.
I usually only go out with one or two people now,
हाँ.
and they are very juniors. I usually, love interacting with juniors from the colleges.
हाँ.
They give me a different perspective in life, right? Like what is happening, what is the current scenario, what is the trends in the education system, what kind of jobs are they getting, what kind of colleges are being, what kind of curriculum is being taught in the colleges, all of that.
हाँ. सो आपने आगे की पढ़ाई कहाँ से करी सुमित, स्कूलिंग के बाद में?
So after schooling, I went to Techno India. I did my BBA there, right?
उसके बाद?
And after that, I did my MBA from ICFA University, where people said that I won't be able to do the MBA, but I topped the university across the country with a 9.5 CGPA.
वाओ.
And still I did not manage to land the job because the corporates were saying that you are not able to walk, so we won't give you a job. So I said, to hell with your jobs, I'll open up my own social media agency. And then I basically ran the agency for 5 years, from 2017 to 2024. I had international clients that time also. Now I have basically decided to close down the agency and shift into diversity, equity, inclusion full time.
हाँ.
Um, but that was a fun moment.
ओके. सो जो आप अभी काम कर रहे हैं, जो मैं देखती हूँ, आपने अभी मुझे थोड़ा इनफॉर्मल चैट में बताया कि आप 18 स्पीचेस दिए हैं मार्च में. तो आपके जैसे गेस्ट स्पीकर होते हैं या की नोट स्पीकर होते हैं, आपके जो लिंक्डइन के पोस्ट्स होते हैं वो एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग हुक के साथ स्टार्ट होते हैं. सो जब भी आप पोस्ट करते हैं तो मैं अपने कलीग को बोलती हूँ कि देखो देखो सुमित ने क्या पोस्ट किया है, उसका स्टाइल देखो कितना इंटरेस्टिंग है. सो दिस दी ऑल दैट इज समथिंग वेरी वेरी यूनिक एंड वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो डीईआई के अंदर डाइवर्सिटी इक्विटी एंड इंक्लूजन थोड़ा मेरी, क्योंकि ऑडियंस अभी समझने की कोशिश कर रही है कि डाइवर्सिटी इक्विटी एंड इंक्लूजन क्या चीजें हैं, कॉर्पोरेट में इसका क्या रोल है, और बहुत सारी कंपनीज हैं जो जॉब के लिए लोग पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज को इंगेज करती हैं। सो हम भी कुछ, मैं भी कुछ कुछ कॉर्पोरेट्स के साथ में उस तरीके से काम कर रही हूँ, और आप भी कर रहे हैं। तो ओवरऑल इसमें आपको कुछ ऐसा चेंज दिख रहा है इंडिया के अंदर, कुछ चेंज बढ़ता हुआ टेक्निकल चीजों के अंदर, टेक्निकल नहीं, रियल चेंज कुछ दिख रहा है, या सिर्फ ये एक नेम सेक के लिए है?
So a couple of things if I break down this question, अगर मैं इस प्रश्न को तोड़ूं अलग अलग हिस्सों में तो इसमें काफी सारे प्रश्न एक साथ निकलते हैं।
सॉरी, मैं इसको ब्रेक कर देती हूँ, खुद खुद कर
um,
देती हूँ।
मैं अगर आपका प्रश्न का पहला हिस्सा का उत्तर दूं तो वो है कि डाइवर्सिटी, इक्विटी एंड इंक्लूजन ऐसा एक चीज है, ऐसा एक कॉन्सेप्ट है कि एवरीबडी इन द वर्क प्लेस or at home, in the society at large, should be treated with dignity and should be allowed to work to earn their dignity.
सो
इसका
यू
मतलब ये है कि आपको अपना डिग्निटी कमाने का एक चांस दिया जाएगा. You are allowed to earn your dignity in such a way that you become a valuable contributor to the society. समाज के प्रति जो आपका उत्तरदायित्व है आप उसको निर्वाह कर सके. तो DEI helps you in that. If you are sitting at home and not working, then the economy is losing out. You are also losing out. The economy is also losing out because you are not being able to identify as a taxpayer. You don't have an income tax file. So in that way, when people with disabilities are inculcated in the society, they are integrated with the system, they become a part of the contributors of the GDP.
Okay. So moving to the second part of my previous question. So a lot of companies are now hiring persons with disabilities, right? And they say that they are going to train, they hire, they give reasonable accommodation, they support each and every person with a disability. So because you are a consultant, you are associated with these kind of corporates. So क्या बदलाव नजर आ रहा है आपको?
See, right now, if I talk about it in a larger perspective, not just specific to DEI, there's a statistics from Great Place to Work, right? A company where I work as an associate, there's a statistics that at least 2 to 3% of the GDP is being contributed by the non-profit sector in India. ऐसा कभी पहले नहीं हुआ. Now young people are also coming up. If you look at the multi-generational concept theory, Gen Zs and Gen Alpha, they're coming up and they're saying we want to work for non-profits because they care. There's a reason behind that. The parents and the grandparents have taken care of roti, kapda, makan. They have their dreams and aspirations fulfilled. Now, what they want to do is they want to give back to the society and they want to pursue their, dreams of building a better India, better Bharat. So, even if we look at the education sector, the new generation is much more sensitized than the previous generation. They understand that okay, people with disabilities should be given space. Reasonable accommodation is not an act of kindness or empathy, it's a must have. And diverse people bring diverse talents to the table. It is a business case, it is not CSR. Although most companies still consider this as CSR, but I think it's a business case.
So I think in my opinion, जिस भी रूट से करे, चाहे CSR से करे, चाहे बिजनेस केस के हिसाब से करें, अगर कंट्रीब्यूशन इतना सा भी हो रहा है ना, तो वो भी बहुत जरूरी है.
No, I think the pathway that you take
हाँ.
is also as important as the cause itself. Because the moment you say CSR, people with disabilities become a charity case.
True. That's true.
The moment you say it's a business case, you acknowledge their abilities.
सो सुमित, मैंने अभी रिसेंटली एक मेरा जो फर्स्ट पॉडकास्ट था वो मैंने किया था विनीत सरायवाला के साथ में. सो वो एक
He is a
कंपनी है.
good friend of mine. He's
हाँ,
doing
एटिपिकल
wonderful work.
एडवांटेज के फाउंडर हैं. वो शार्क टैंक इंडिया में आए थे. तो मैं एक रिवीजन दे रही हूँ अपनी ऑडियंस को कि फर्स्ट पॉडकास्ट वापस से जाके देखें कि विनीत ने जो प्लेटफॉर्म बनाया है वो किस तरीके से पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज के आर्ट, उनकी स्किल्स और उनके टैलेंट को अप्रिशिएट कर रहा है और कॉर्पोरेट्स में उन्हीं को इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, जिससे कि एक एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट हो रही है और अपना जो टैलेंट है उसको दिखाने का मौका मिल रहा है. सो मेरी इस पॉडकास्ट में लोगों से ये दरखास्त है कि जो अपने आर्ट फॉर्म को या अपनी टैलेंट को या अपनी स्किल्स को शोकेस करना चाहते हैं तो एटिपिकल एडवांटेज की वेबसाइट पे जाके, जिसको मैं अपने डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में भी डालूंगी ताकि वो देख सकें. और काफी बड़ा अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं विनीत. और वही सेम चीज जो हम बात कर रहे हैं डीईआई के थ्रू एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट करने की, जीडीपी में कंट्रीब्यूशन की. सो आप और विनीत जिस तरीके से काम कर रहे हैं वो बहुत ही कमेंडेबल चीज है.
Not only just Vineet, but now मैं जब पहले ग्रेजुएट किया था अपने कॉलेज से, उसके बाद आई वेंट टू जादवपुर यूनिवर्सिटी फॉर डूइंग मास कॉम एंड आई टॉप्ड माय यूनिवर्सिटी देयर एज वेल. So there was no support systems. Now there's not only Vineet, there's an organization called Sarthak, which is
हाँ.
doing amazing work. There's Shanti from Enable India who's doing amazing work.
हाँ.
There's
हाँ.
me, Hira Shinroy from Youth for Jobs who's doing amazing work. There's Nipun Manotra from Nipun Foundation who's doing amazing work. I think now the space is really developing.
Actually, it's actually broad. ना, horizon is actually getting broader. So अभी और भी बहुत सारी कंपनीज है जो इस फील्ड में काम कर रही हैं. So मैं
Pratik is doing amazing work in accessibility. Pratik Khanel.
absolutely. Absolutely. We are going to have him on the show in the future. Nipun has already agreed. So we are like bringing people just to share their works which they are doing.
They're
And
amazing friends. They're amazing friends. They are doing well. I mean, it really touches my heart to see, a lot of people coming together to actually shape the entire ecosystem.
true, true. Or, torch bearers like you and other people are going to change the entire course of action in India. But this is what I believe because I'm seeing that change happening in the country.
You know, the ecosystem is changing. ये नहीं कि मैंने क्या किया लाइफ में.
Hmm.
It doesn't really matter to me anymore. But what matters to me is Bharat changing as a country.
I think more of acceptability has increased, more of adaptability, and people are aware. Awareness has also increased. So I guess I think whatever you are doing and whatever others are doing collectively, we are going to change in another 10 years. eh, Within this country we're going to change a lot of things, and we have a voice and we have that power, collective power, to change the entire course of action.
It's
So
a good thing that you bring that up, that we have a collective power, because now when you look at DEI and diversity and inclusion, right, it is run mostly by the Fortune 1000 companies,
हाँ.
right? If I give them the benefit of doubt, I'm not even saying Fortune 500, I'm saying Fortune 1000 companies.
Hmm.
And in the US, it's done by the S&P listed stock companies, right?
Right.
As a part of their mandatory compliance.
Hmm.
But if I look at India, MSMEs and the startups and the people who actually employ the most of India,
Hmm.
they do not have a compulsion or they do not want to employ people with disabilities, right? until that happens.
So सुमित आपको एक बहुत अच्छा इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जांपल बताती हूँ. So I was invited in one of the talks at IIM Nagpur. तो वो पूरा SMEs का conversation था. So when I shared my story over there, as a person with a disability, my challenges and my acceptances and rejections and all फलाना फलाना चीजें, one of the top persons from the entire region, SME जिसका 1,000 crore से ऊपर का बिजनेस है, ही कॉन्टेक्टेड मी, क्योंकि उसको चाहिए कि हम आज नहीं अगर करेंगे तो हम कब करेंगे, और अगर हम रेडी नहीं होंगे तो हम कभी हायर ही नहीं कर सकते, तो रेडीनेस जरूरी है. सो उसका कहना ये था कि मैं हायर मुझे नहीं पता मैं कब करूंगा, लेकिन मैं रेडी जरूर होना चाहिए हूँ, क्योंकि जिस दिन मेरे पास टैलेंट आया तब मैं ये ना सोचूं कि यार मैं तो तैयार ही नहीं, उसको मैं कैसे हायर करूं. So he is ready. So these small changes are happening, and I am kind of now very confident that if one is doing, because of this competitive advantage, if we say it in a management term, competitive advantage or sustained competitive advantage, this will happen, and other companies will definitely, or small companies will definitely adopt. At least they will make their workplace accessible, and whenever there is a person with a disability they will hire these people.
Let me give you a different perspective. I agree with what you say, but that's a very slow process. Let me give you a very different and faster perspective.
बताओ.
In 2014,
हाँ.
when the gender balance was very low in India, right? Gender work-life balance and the women employed in the corporate sector, the numbers were very low. The Companies Act mandated having a woman director on the board. The number of directors by then, by today, if you look at the stats, 36% of the companies have women directors on board because it was mandated by law. I think that's the faster course. If
Mhm.
we get mandates in the policy level, in the legal level, that's a faster route than to rely on कब किसकी इच्छा होगी, वो रेडी होंगे, टैलेंट हायर करेंगे नहीं करेंगे. That would be leaving things to fate and chance.
Hmm.
I think if there can be a mandate that you have to do this, then I think things will progress much faster.
आई थिंक कॉर्पोरेट्स में इसीलिए कर रहे हैं ना, क्योंकि देर इज दिस ESG रिक्वायरमेंट. अगर वो नहीं होएगा तो वो भी नहीं करेंगे. बिग कॉर्पोरेट्स इन इंडिया.
Yes, we may be disability hiring is not mandatory for the SMEs and all of that,
हाँ,
but
फॉर नॉट फॉर SMEs, आई एम सेइंग कॉर्पोरेट्स.
the moment it becomes mandatory for SMEs as well, you will be able to see a lot of change in the country. Because if I look at the Indian population, I will say hey, there are 8.25 crores of people with disabilities.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. I hope that somebody is listening to us today. कि ये मैंडेट कर दे तो हमारी SMEs भी हायर करने के लिए तैयार हो जाए पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटीज को. या. सो मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट कॉन्वर्सेशन, क्योंकि अभी थोड़ा सीरियस कॉन्वर्सेशन हो गया है. सुमित, मैं आपसे कुछ और बातें पूछूंगी. मुझे बताएं कि आप ओके, सो दिस इज अ पर्सनल क्वेश्चन.
Sure.
Because you are the most eligible bachelor in the country right now.
I would highly debate that statement, but continue.
ले लो प्लीज एज इट इज, क्योंकि मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है ये बोलने में. सो मुझे ये बताइए कि आपका खुद का क्या इरादा है शादी करने का. ऐसे तो मैं एक वो है ना, वो जो आंटी होती है ना, वैसे फील कर रही हूँ अभी अपने आप को, कि जो सवाल पूछती हूँ उस लड़के से कि जो अभी दिख रहा है एलिजिबल बैचलर, तो उससे वो सवाल मैं पूछ रही हूँ. सो आप क्या समझते हैं. मैं एक्चुअली उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में नहीं पूछ रही हूँ कि मेरे को आपसे ये सवाल पूछना है कि आप कब शादी कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम हो गया, उम्र आ गई है, वो सब नहीं. पर मैं आपसे इसलिए जानना चाहती हूँ कि persons with disabilities के लिए ये getting married is a challenge, right? So what is your experiences in this domain?
I actually dated a lot of people, right? And I went to restaurants. I had food with them. I met a lot of people, right? But if you talk about serious commitment, then I would be the one who will back out, because I really, at this moment of time, I don't want to. Number one. Number two, I think if I could dedicate the time to the cause instead of searching for a perfect partner, because I just don't have that energy right now to search for a perfect partner. I think I would be better off dedicating the time to a cause that my future generations will not say that I'm facing any issues just because I'm a person with a disability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think about Bharat as a country. I don't think about myself.
Mm-hmm.
At the risk of sounding like a politician, but I think we owe it to our future generation that they live life without struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And if that demands a sacrifice, if I may call it a sacrifice, that I do not spend the time searching for a perfect life partner, I would be happy to give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that if you dedicate your time to a cause, you get a whole country as your family. You don't need to have that close knit family that have a wife, have a son, have a daughter, they'll be there to support you. Dedicated his entire life to the country. That he brought about a lot of changes, whether those were good, bad is a different kind of debate. I won't want to get into it, but he brought about the changes. Right? He, he did it. Right? Just imagine if he would have dedicated all the time to having a family and balancing work life along with balancing the country. Right? Would have been a little difficult, because I see a lot of high-end and corporates struggle to maintain work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just not possible right now. The kind of work it demands, the corporates demand from a high-end executive. You either dedicate your time to the company, or either dedicate your time to your family. Work-life balance has become a myth. That's why the divorce rates in India is so high.
सो सुमित मैं आपको मतलब जो ऑडियंस में है उनको ये बता देती हूँ कि फिर जो वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस के लिए अगर मैनेज करना है तो सुमित इज नॉट अवेलेबल फॉर अ पोटेंशियल लाइफ पार्टनर फॉर गेटिंग मैरिड सो आई थिंक आपने बहुत लोगों का दिल तोड़ दिया आज सुमित Okay, so look, on a lighter note, I think whatever you decide for your life is the best thing because you know what is good for you and for your work and your own career path and your personal life. So मैं वो आंटी वाला रोल एकदम वापस बाहर ले लेती हूँ कि नहीं मैं नहीं पूछूंगी सुमित से इसके आगे कोई भी सवाल इस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक के ऊपर. So moving to the next section, Sumit, do you travel? I think you travel a lot.
I
So
travel a lot. I have an attendant who's my driver. He's also my picture editor. He's also my photographer. He is
uh,
also my caretaker. And he's been there with me for 11 years.
So आपका traveling का क्या idea? What is your idea of traveling? You travel for work only or you travel for leisure as well?
Both.
Okay, tell me, what is your idea of travel?
See, my idea of travel is if you're looking for leisure, I love forests and wildlife safaris, all of that. But if you're talking about a more serious aspect of accessibility, then I think it's a horror story, right? Which I wouldn't want to recount.
हाँ.
Because at the airports, I'm made to walk, made to get up from the wheelchair and said, भैया आप खड़े हो सकते हैं कि नहीं आपको एक बार खड़ा करके देखना तो पड़ेगा ना. So all of that is there. And if you're traveling in wheelchairs, forget about trains,
Hmm.
because somebody will roll you and your wheelchair out of the train. sometime. So forget about trains in India.
Mm.
That's all. But if I talk about countries like Europe, US, that's a different story. Every place is accessible. Like it's not to, tell that India is not going there slowly, but we have a long ways to go.
Mhm. Okay, so recently I purchased a wheelchair. I got a wheelchair from Evox company and made a review. I'll link up somewhere here.
I looked at your wheelchair and that was amazing.
So a lot of people ask me about it, so I made a review. So through this particular podcast, I also want to share that particular information that I finally made a review video after using this wheelchair for 3 months, and I realized that this is very comfortable and linked up somewhere here. So anybody who is interested can watch the review video as well. Moving to the next part, because when we talk about independent living with a disability, so, what is your idea of being independent?
I work with a lot of centers, right? But I don't like the concept of a gated community which is providing assisted living facilities. I'm sure a lot of NGOs would be annoyed at my statement, which they always are. But I don't like the concept that you move on into a separate community which has only people with disabilities in the community, people who are not able to see or not able to hear. Then you are doing discrimination within the DEI community itself, right?
Mm.
Uh, so I think independent living, you have to find people who will support you. For example, if you don't like cooking, you will have to find a good cook. If
Mm.
you don't like washing clothes, you'll have to find a person who does that. For example, I don't like to drive, right? I don't even want to drive with all the events that I attend to, right? Every day I have to go here and there. So I don't even want to do all of that. So I have my driver with me for 11 years. So
Mm.
you have to have that support system,
Mm.
right? Why do people marry, right? Because they need a support system in their life. If they need somebody to rely on, right?
Mm.
If you create support systems with or without the concept of marriage, I think that is what matters in life.
Mm.
And you have to have that capability to pay them well.
Mm.
Otherwise, they will not stick around by you, right?
Mm.
If you're not able to pay them well enough, because they dedicate more time to you, right?
Mm.
For example, if I had a cook and if I am not able to go to the kitchen and if he's doing all the cutting of the vegetables and washing of the utensils and if he's doing everything, I'll have to pay him well enough. So I think people with disabilities need to earn more as compared to other people.
Everyone who is listening to this particular podcast should also think about like how to increase this earning to make life much more easier. So I think that's how this job, this education, this these entire becoming independent financially is the primary requirement.
If you stay in a city like Bangalore, right? You're from Bangalore, right? And
I am from
no,
I live in Chandigarh.
you live in Chandigarh. If you're living in a city like Bangalore, you need at least 2 lakhs a month to survive.
True, true.
To just survive, just pay off your rent, pay off the persons working for you, pay off your car bills, your petrol bills, your medical bills, your assistive equipment bills. You need at least 2 lakhs.
I agree. I totally get you. That's a vicious circle, I think,
And
which we are living
people
in.
with disabilities don't even have medical insurance. Okay?
True. Hmm.
So, anytime you have to go to the hospital, it's a hefty bill for you.
हाँ. So आप जो बदलाव कर रहे हैं सुमित यहाँ पे वो ऐसा कौन सा बदलाव है one single change in your entire lifetime if you want to bring what would that be?
See, if I could make it mandatory for everybody to hire people with disabilities, I would.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I am working towards. I work with a lot of government bodies. I have worked with the various departments of UN, right? Not in any official capacity, but as an advisor to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I have told them to make it mandatory. I have reached out to the International Labour Organization, and then they are putting the policies in place so that this becomes mandatory. Because एक तो चीज ये है ना कि अगर जब तक आप अर्निंग कैपेसिटी नहीं देते हो लोगों को, तब तक ये सारे कॉन्वर्सेशन बेकार है.
Mm-hmm.
एंड मैं देखता हूँ that any organization which is providing a job for people with disabilities, most of the time it's entry level. 3 लाख का पैकेज रहता है साल का, 2 लाख का पैकेज रहता है साल का. How are you supposed to survive? You are a person with a disability. You need support systems. If you're on a wheelchair, if it's not an automatic wheelchair, you need somebody to push you around.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that if you don't have the money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I am a very vocal person that money not only helps, not only talks, but in case of people with disabilities, it also helps you walk. Because I'm not able to walk, right? My caretaker holds my hands. If I stop paying him tomorrow, he will not come.
That is true. That is true. So this is one thing which you would like to change, right? So earning capacity of persons with disabilities in the
वही
country.
सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है.
That is true.
I
That is
don't think any other conversation really matters for
true.
that at extent.
हाँ हाँ. ओके, सो आप अपने लिंक्डइन प्लेटफॉर्म से सो मैं लोगों को बता देना चाहती हूँ कि लिंक्डइन एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जो कि प्रोफेशनली लोगों को कनेक्ट करता है. सो आप उस प्लेटफॉर्म से जब आप रोज कुछ ना कुछ पोस्ट करते हैं, एग्जैक्टली क्या बदल रहा है?
See, I have over 250 million views on LinkedIn, right? I'm one of the highest followed person in the DEI space globally, right? And I've given over 350 speeches at Fortune 500 companies in my entire career, right? And I think I am able to bring a lot of policy changes through LinkedIn, right? Because see, for example, a lot of people have a lot of corporates have ERGs, employee resource groups, for people with disabilities in their companies. But I told them, what about ERGs for caregivers of people with disabilities? Because अगर आपका caregiver है कोई घर पे, right? My mother's 70, my father's 82, right? मेरा मदर के ऊपर भी एक इमोशनल टोल जाता है to take care of me. So I have people for everything, but still she, takes care of me and worries about me and all of that. So there must be a support group for parents of people with disabilities also, parents, brothers, mothers, sisters of people with disabilities, the caregivers. So the companies, a lot of companies are now even making ERGs for caregivers with disabilities. So
That's a good
all of
change.
that.
That's a good change. Okay, so who is your like immediate? Do you want to thank anybody through this video today?
Not really, yeah, because see, I believe that if you are not your own inspiration, and if you look outside it for inspiration, and if you look up to somebody for inspiration, and if you are not your own inspiration, तब आपने लाइफ में किया ही क्या है? You have to always look in the mirror and say that okay, you can achieve your dreams. You don't need to find inspiration. You have to find your own strength, courage, and resilience just to do it.
Okay. So moving to the next question. वैसे तो आपके पास 13 घंटे 14 घंटे दिन के आप सिर्फ काम में लगाते हैं. अगर आप काम नहीं कर रहे हैं तो what is that one hobby or one thing
Yeah.
which you do and you would like to share it today?
One is I read a lot of books, right? Mostly DEI and non-fiction, but कभी-कभी गलती से fiction में भी हाथ लगा देता हूँ.
Uh,
Number two is one side to me is a lot of people don't know is I write all of my own posts.
uh,
So वो लिखता रहता हूँ. Whenever I am free, I create my own content bank, right? Number three is I am a member of a lot of different chess clubs, right?
yes.
So yeah, so
Uh,
whenever I get time, I just move pieces around here and there. So
so what do you like the most? Like, as you already mentioned, jungles or mountain safaris and all you like.
I like wildlife. I like
I,
wildlife because I think we still have a lot to learn.
so if you want to go to one place in India again and again to be in that kind of environment, like wildlife, which place it is?
I think there's a wildlife sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh, which is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I would want to visit that place again and again. And a little caveat to wildlife, is boring for a lot of people. You have to sit on a jeep for 5 hours, 6 hours, and stare at jungles. But if you are not accustomed to that setting, you won't like it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay, so next part of this conversation. So if I ask you, like, so if you have to attend an event with one of the VIPs in the world, वो कौन सा VIP होएगा जिसके साथ आप एक इवेंट अटेंड करना चाहोगे?
I think, anybody who's working in the space of neurodiversity and disability and providing jobs to people with disabilities would be a good option to start with, because anybody who's able to bring that change, maybe somebody from United Nations, somebody from International Labor Organization, and crafting the policies for people with disabilities. So वो मेरे लिए better रहेगा. Somebody like Bill Gates who wants to get into something to do with people with disabilities,
Uh-huh.
because he was the one who did the polio campaign, right? He
Yeah,
helped.
so I think I was about to share that. So Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is actually working on polio eradication.
I know.
Yeah.
Because I was a part of Rotary, so I know I worked together with them.
Yeah. So it's very popular campaign which they are running in the developing countries. Particularly when I talk about disability. So, what is disability for you? Because this is something which is word disability good or bad?
I think the word disability is just what it means. It's disability. A certain part of your body does not work.
Hmm.
It is not good or it is not bad. It
Hmm.
is just a word with meaning,
Huh.
right? And the meaning is a certain part of your body does not work.
Hmm.
So it is a fact.
Okay, so when people use different words like differently abled or specially abled or Divyang or persons with determination in the UAE, they call persons with disabilities as person with determination. So, what is, in your opinion, a right
I
way?
believe that coming from the DEI background, right?
Hmm.
Coming from the diversity, equity, and inclusion, the first thing that we are taught in DEI, the first thing that I teach my students in DEI, I am also a professor at a university also. I teach in IIT University, Calcutta. And a lot of times I've given these lectures when I teach different corporates or students of different universities. I always say first concept of DEI is accept and respect everybody's opinion.
Hmm.
So disabled is also okay. Persons with disabilities is also okay. Differently abled is also okay. Just don't go around imposing your opinions on other people. You
Hmm.
are free to call somebody whatever you like, as long as you don't degrade or belittle that person.
Hmm.
You might call me a person who is differently abled,
Hmm.
but if I am not okay being called that, you should respect my views and call me whatever I want to be called.
Okay,
That's
and
fine.
what is the way to ask a person with a disability, how to address. So, for instance, I want to address you. So, what should be the right way to ask you? Like, how do you want to be addressed as?
It's very simple. I'll ask you, Anita ji, do you want me to call you a person with a disability, or do you want me to call you differently abled, or
Okay.
do you have any other preference?
Hmm.
Or do I just avoid the conversation altogether and just call you Anita ji?
Hmm. That's good. So yeah, name is absolutely okay. It's just that when people call me differently abled, I ask them, "मेरे को क्यों बोला differently abled?" So I always ask this, reverse question,
Yeah,
counter them, but in a very very subtle way, not as in to
yeah, because
humiliate somebody or
they don't mean any harm.
yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
just want to
That's
be
true.
polite.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think, Sumit, this is a very interesting and deep conversation which we have just had. We will have these kind of conversations more often and more live chats, maybe, so that people can ask us questions in the future. And I am so glad that you took time out from your
My pleasure.
very, 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 power
My
and
pleasure.
power and so very busy schedule. Thank you so much, and convey my regards to your parents. And so, whenever you are here in this part of the country, I live in Chandigarh. You are most welcome. I will host you
Sure.
here. Thank you so much.